Welcome back to the Galley of the Sun. Busy Sunday here at the Oasis. So we have the grandkids in town, so I have an extra 3 people to feed. Sunday is always a day where company comes over, so we have a big meal going. And this is shot right in the middle of Greg's first video, which will be released a few weeks before this one, Ribs, Ribs, and Ribs. So you can see the sauce back here that's cooking on the stove. So with all those people here, need to have an appetizer. So what we're going to make today is something called Gronski pie. In the early 90s, I reported to my first boat, submarines are called boats, not ships, the mighty USS Tennessee. The Tennessee was stationed in Kings Bay, Georgia. It was in Georgia that my passion for trying different culinary treats was born. Growing up in Kansas in the 70s and 80s, in the grocery stores, they were pretty much just stocked with Midwest staples. My family was not overly adventurous in their cooking. So back in the early 90s, submarines were still on 18-hour days. So that means that you stood watch for 6 hours, then you had 6 hours off to study, qualify, do maintenance, and then 6 hours of sleep, and then that cycle repeated. Every 6 hours, there was a meal that was served. So between 5 and 6 in the morning was breakfast, between 11 and 12 was lunch, and between 5 and 6 p.m., 17 to 1800 for you military types, was dinner. And then from 2300 to midnight, there was a meal that was sometimes terrifying. That was called midrats. A lot of times midrats consisted of leftovers from lunch or dinner. And the reason there were leftovers is because it wasn't good enough the first time for people to get seconds and thirds. So, quite often, midrats was a disappointment. But every once in a while, we would get something special. Maybe it was chicken nuggets, or a McRib style sandwich, or corn dogs, or cordon bleu, which we called hamsters. Well, on the Tennessee, I was lucky enough to have a Chief Mess Specialist, they're now called culinary specialists, named Gronski. Now, I don't remember his first name, and back early in my career, every chief's first name was Chief. So we'll just call him Chief Gronski. But he came up with this amazing creation called the Gronski pie. So when you did get up from your 6 hours of sleep and wandered the crew's mess and see every table had a tray set upside down to keep the pans from melting the tablecloths and bags of Doritos on every table, you knew you were in for a treat. And that's what we're going to make today, Gronski pie. Today, I will recreate this delicious, gooey concoction, but with a twist. As you can imagine, like screen doors, smokers do not work well on submarines. But here at the Galley of the Sun, we do not have that limitation. We're going to make up the Gronski pie here in the kitchen and then put it on the smoker. Let's get started. So first, we got to get the guts of the Gronski pie together, or the innards. So what that consists of is 3 cans of Hormel no beans chili. Now, we do a lot of fancy cooking here at the Galley of the Sun, but sometimes this cheap stuff is delicious. So this is one of those cases. So in with our 3 cans. You know, over the last 18 months or so, smoked queso has been all the rage on all the cooking channels. This is sort of like that, but better because it has meat. And you can't spell team without meat. So into our chili goes about a tablespoon or so of diced chipotles. I'm going to talk more about heat level later, but if you like it hotter, put more than a tablespoon in there. But we're just putting it in there to get that good smoky flavor in that chili. So I've talked about it before. Having a jar of diced chipotles and adobo is absolutely a staple you need in your kitchen. So get a healthy spoonful there, get it in, get this all mixed up. Okay, and set that aside. Now we go to make our crust of the Gronski pie. So I have here about a 10-inch cast iron skillet because it's going into the smoker. You don't want to throw your nice stuff in the smoker because it's going to discolor it and probably get you in trouble with the kitchen boss. The crust consists of 2 8-ounce blocks of cream cheese, and I've had this sitting out for about an hour to make it more malleable. All right, now we got our cream cheese in the pan. Now to form the crust. Just smush it down, fill it all the way to the corners, and then up for about an inch or so lip. We're there. Now for the rest of the ingredients. In we go with our chili chipotle mixture, being careful not to disturb our crust. Now we're going to top that with cheese. You can use your favorite cheese on this. You can use some shredded cheddar, some shredded Monty Jack, some shredded pepper jack, a combination of any of those. I have fallen in love with the Trader Joe's unexpected cheddar. This stuff is incredible. Very creamy, hard to beat. I got an 8-ounce package here. We're going to dump the whole thing on. Now once again, without disturbing anything, we're going to do our best to get this all spread out nice and even. Okay, now it's time for the smoker. So if you don't have a smoker, you can take this right here, you can chuck it in your oven. All you're doing is cooking it long enough to get it warmed all the way through, get that cream cheese bubbling into your chili there, and getting that top layer of cheddar melted. So probably about 15 to 30 minutes, keep an eye on it. Once it's all melty, you're good to go. Throw on your garnish, and you're gonna have a wonderful treat. The smoker right now, as I mentioned before, is cooking ribs. So it's set at about 225 degrees, which is perfect for us. If you are going to put it in the smoker, you want to use as low as temperature as possible so you can leave this on as long as possible so it'll soak up more of that wonderful smoke flavor. So off to the smoker. On to the smoker. You can see Greg's beautiful ribs are cooking here. This is going to be a fine addition as an appetizer. Now we come back in about 30 minutes or so and give it a check. The Gronski pie has been on for about 40 minutes. Now we're going to add the diced jalapenos to it to soften them up a little bit. Getting good and melty there. Back in about 10 minutes. It's time to pull it. Okay, so got it off the smoker, took about an hour to cook, added the diced jalapenos at about the 40-minute point. So a little bit on heat real quick. We talked about it before, your jalapenos. If you don't want it to be too terribly spicy, make sure you get out every seed and the membranes. Then also when you're buying your jalapenos, you're looking at those for scarring. If there are some scars along it, it's going to be hotter. So you're looking for a nice, pristine, green jalapeno. All right, it was a moment of truth. Get some of that cream cheese, some of that chili. Smoked queso, you have met your match. Hope you enjoyed what you saw today. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. There's more stuff coming. Thank you very much. See you next time on the Galley of the Sun.